shining a light that inspires the weak. A simple, a straight for all to see. Mask on to avoid the heat for the determination. Dedication to oneself and no one else. Focus on oneself is how you grow. Beneath the mask, but for all those around, I lead by the name referred to. Some say Scarlet, pissed all the time. Frustration, it working overtime. What's this song's name again? Scarlet Frustration time.
Welcome back all to another Scarlet Frustration educational video. In this video, in all of the videos, down in the description, there's timestamps. You can even skip the intro. Today, we will discuss about ego versus humility, turmoil from within. Codex, can you please tell them what we will cover today?
Changeover complete. Thank you, Scarlet Frustration. Today's topic will be broken down into the following subtopics. Definition of ego. Sigmund Freud, structure of the human psyche. The three parts of the human psyche. Examples of how each psyche responds to different situations. Humility. Be humble and not a diva. Summary. Objective overview complete. Back to you, Scarlet Frustration.
Thank you, Codex. Our first topic, definition of ego. According to Merriam-Webster.com, ego is a Latin word for I. So if a person seems to begin every sentence with I, it is a sign of a big ego. It was the psychologist Sigmund Freud who put ego into popular vocabulary. The rest of us generally use ego simply to mean one's sense of self-worth. According to vocabulary.com, ego as a noun refers to inflated feeling of pride in your superiority to others. Vocabulary.com also refers to ego as your consciousness of your own identity. Moving on to our next topic, Sigmund Freud's structure of the human psyche. According to Simply Psychology, Freud's structure of the human psyche has three parts. Although each of the individual personalities is comprised of unique features, each part interacts to form the human psyche, to contribute to an individual's behavior. These three parts are ID, instincts, ego, reality, superego, morality. Next, let's look closer at the three parts of Freud's structure of the human psyche in detail with our next topic. The ID is a part of the unconscious that contains all the urges and impulses, including what is called the libido, a kind of generalized sexual energy that is used for everything from survival instincts to appreciation of art. The ID is impulsive and unconscious part of our psyche that responds to our basic urges, needs, and desires. The ID operates on the pleasure principle that every unconscious wishful impulse should be satisfied immediately, regardless of the consequences.
Worm wind up fucking you up.
Big Worm ain't gonna do a goddamn thing, man.
Red told me he smoked the fool for $50.
I don't give a fuck.
Moving on to our next point of Freud's structure of the human psyche, ego. The ego is a part of the ID which can be modified by the direct influence of the external world. The ego is the only part of the conscious personality. It's what the person is aware of when they think about themselves and what they usually try to project toward others. The ego develops to mediate between the unrealistic ID and the real external world. It is the decision-making component of personality. Ideally, the ego works to reason, whereas the ID is chaotic and unreasonable. The ego develops from the ID during infancy. The ego's goal is to satisfy the ID's demands in a safe and socially acceptable way. Unlike the ID, the ego follows the reality principles as it operates in both the conscious and unconscious mind. What is the reality principle? According to study.com, the reality principle works by informing an individual to delay gratification or compromise in the attainment of desire, rather than implementing reckless, unsafe measures to meet a need. It functions with logic, reason, and rationale. The ego considers social realities and norms, etiquette, and rules in deciding how to behave. Freud made an analogy of the ID being a horse, while the ego is the rider. The ego is like the individual on horseback who has to hold in check the superior strength of the horse, otherwise they'll be knocked off.
Hey, don't touch me, baby!
Next, moving on to our last part of Freud's structure of the human psyche, superego. Freud's superego is the moral component of the psyche, representing internalized societal values and standards. It is opposed with the ID's desire, guiding behavior towards moral righteousness, including guilt when standards aren't met. The superego incorporates the values and morals of society, which are learned from one's parents and others. It develops around 3 to 5 years old. As parents, this is why you want to avoid overprivileging a child and teach them the value of earning things through time and hard work. Teach them moral guidelines through your example of right and wrong. Not doing these things could lead to the child to having a weak ego and superego, leading to more severe consequences.
And then we'll go to Target and I'll buy you a Mega Ranger.
Could I perhaps have 2 Mega Rangers?
Yes, darling. You can have whatever you want.
The superego operates on the morality principle and motivates us to behave in a socially responsible and acceptable manner. The superego is seen as a part that specializes in rewards, feelings of pride and satisfaction for completing a task, and punishment, feelings of shame and guilt when not completing a task. The superego is part of the unconscious that is the voice of doing what is right and the source of self-criticism. It reflects society's morals, values to some degree, and a person is sometimes aware of their own morality and ethics. But the superego contains many codes of conduct and guidelines of what is not okay. Those are issued in internalized forms of commands or "don't do this" statement. The superego function is to control the ID's impulses, especially those which society forbids, such as sex and aggression. Next, we will move into some examples of how the ID, superego, and ego might handle different situations. Skipping a workout. ID.
I'm gonna
skip my workout
because I feel lazy and I just want to relax.
Superego. I shouldn't skip the workout because it's essential for my health and discipline. Ego. I can do a shorter workout today and make up for it with a longer session tomorrow. Yeah, let's get playing. Buying an expensive item. ID. I want this luxurious bag now because it's stylish and it'll make me feel good. Superego. I shouldn't spend so much on a bag when I can save some money for more essential things. Ego. I'll save a portion of my salary for a few months, and if I want it, I'll buy the bag as a reward later. It's a good plan. Reacting to criticism. ID. I am upset and I want to snap back immediately because it hurt my feelings. Superego. I should remain calm and composed, taking criticism professionally and not personally. Ego. I'll consider the feedback, see if there's any truth to it, and I'll respond diplomatically, asking for clarification if needed. It's a good plan. Now that we have a good understanding of ego through Sigmund Freud's structure of the human psyche, let us move on to understand a sense of being free from any type of arrogance or pride by exploring our next topic, humility. Be humble and not a diva. According to Merriam-Webster.com, humility means a state of being humble. Humility and humble have their origin in the Latin word humilis, meaning low. Humble can be used to describe what is ranked low by others. People also use the word for themselves and things they are associated with. If you describe yourself as a humble person or welcome to my humble abode, you're simply saying that neither you or your home are very impressive. However, Oxford defines humility as the quality of not thinking that you are better than other people. The key aspects of a humble lifestyle: avoiding arrogance, appreciating simplicity, being mindful of others, accepting limitations, and practicing gratitude. What is the opposite of humility? Define diva. According to Oxford Learner's Dictionaries, a famous woman singer, especially an opera singer.
But watch out when beans come out down south. Tooting, some call it hooting. It's air polluting. The gas come shooting right from your butt.
Not this type of diva. Or a person who is difficult to please and demands a lot of attention. It spans from late 19th century via Italian from Latin, literally goddess. Goddess to some, but to others, Pharisees. According to Christianity.com, Pharisees emphasized strict adherence to the Torah, the Old Testament of the Bible, to prevent the Israelites from losing their homeland due to their disobedience. However, just as we experience today, there was continual culture shifts and repeated temptations to compromise faith. Wait, just like Hollywood? With time, the Pharisees grew to love popularity and the privilege and power associated with it. Just like the majority of Hollywood. Just like a difficult person to please and demands a lot of attention. Or how the opposite of humble lifestyle is someone who is arrogant, hates simplicity, not mindful of others, ignores others' limitations, and has zero gratitude. To summarize this last educational video of the year, we are all born with the ID, those primal instincts. However, it is a parent's job to teach your children the value of earning things through dedication, hard work, and teach them moral guidelines through your example of right and wrong. This way, in society, they will grow to be respectful, hardworking, and understanding of boundaries. And if you are a diva, I don't blame you. I blame your parents for failing you. However, as stated in Rick and Morty,
this. I can't change my nature. What are you, a scorpion in a Navajo fable? Everyone can change their nature, Morty. It's what defines our species. Look at Iron Man. That actor was an animal in the 90s, literally waking up in bushes. His agent had to catch him with a butterfly net.
So finally, let's move on to our summary.
Today we talked about definition of ego, Freud's structure of the human psyche, the three parts of the human psyche, examples of how each psyche responds to different situations, and lastly, humility. Be humble and not a diva. So which side will you choose? The superego or the ID? The choice is yours. Happy holidays, and I wish everyone a happy new year.
おやすみなさい。